Hello everybody, this is Frens from the company LOTUS Holland in the Netherlands, and I'm here to present to the screen printing world our latest revolutionary automatic screen cleaning and reclaiming system for small format printers, the LOTUS EVO MAXX. During the recent COVID period, we have looked at all the remarks that we ever got from screen printers who are using the most popular automatic reclaiming system for small format printers, the LOTUS EVO COMPACT, and we have integrated them into a new system, which is now the LOTUS EVO MAXX. During this video presentation, I will guide you through these differences, what they are, and what they actually mean to you as a screen printer. These differences fall into three main categories. Category 1 is reduction of cross-contamination of your chemicals by way of separation of the modules and separation of the chain. Category 2 is more effective use and longevity of your chemicals by way of sedimentation and a revolutionary automatic dosing system. And category 3 is an integrated automatic wastewater filtration system. Those are the main differences. Are you ready? Let's go. Let's start with what is the same on the two systems. Well, both systems are three-step automatic cleaning and reclaiming system, which means in step 1, the ink is being removed and the screen is degreased. In step 2, we apply stripper concentrate mixed with water to the screen to soften the emulsion, and in step 3 the high pressure water now rinses off this soft emulsion and drops it into the wastewater tank on the bottom. That is exactly the same between the EVO COMPACT and the MAXX 33. One of the most common issues with inline systems, any inline system, doesn't matter which brand you have, is cross-contamination. Cross-contamination is liquids, water, chemicals, ink, are going into the wrong tank where they don't belong, and that will deteriorate your consumables very rapidly. Especially the stripper is sensitive to that. So for most screen printers, small format screen printers like textile printers, that cross-contamination is not really a big issue. The investment in more sophisticated equipment and usually the footprint, because these machines are much larger, to prevent cross-contamination doesn't offset the amount of consumable that you actually use more. So for most small format screen printers, the LOTUS EVO COMPACT is an absolutely fantastic and perfect solution. But for some screen printers, like for instance screen printers with bigger screens, it is an issue. Because if you have a bigger screen, that screen is moving through the system and is now in two modules at the same time. And that is when most of the cross-contamination happens. It doesn't happen from the damp on the top. That is just very, very minimal. It happens from the liquid flowing over your screen and now dripping into the wrong tank from the screen or from the chain. One drop of liquid falling from the screen is more chemical than the damp on top of the screen. Now if you look at this EVO COMPACT, the separation between the modules is only this wide. If you look at the MAXX, LOTUS EVO MAXX, the separation is this big, which is about 3 times the size. And this section, nothing is happening here, allows the screen to drip off, the liquid to drip off of the screen into this middle tank, to which we will get later. And by the time that the screen is passed through this empty section and it gets to the stripper section, all chemical is gone and reducing cross-contamination to virtually zero. That is part 1. The other improvement that we made on the system to prevent cross-contamination is that we separated the chain by way of a chain bridge. Let me show you where it is. Oh, by the way, we have asked our users if they prefer doors like this or doors with hinges, and they told us that they prefer doors like this. Why? Because if you have a hinging door and you have to open it, it's always in the way for people to walk past. And the second thing is that with these doors we can create maximum space for entry. So if you need to do anything like maintenance or fix something, you have maximum space to work with. And the last advantage of these doors is that they don't leak. We see that with these doors with hinges, that it's very, very difficult to seal them on the bottom, and chemical is seeping through and leaking onto the floor. So we stick to these doors, hanging doors. They are fit with a sensor on the bottom, which prevents the operator to open the system while it is running. If he takes out the door, the machine will shut off. And these are the same as on the EVO COMPACT. So here is where you can find that chain bridge. It's in this middle section right here. Let me show you. Open this door and you can peep in, and that is where you see the chain connector. And this now allows for a chain in the front to be connected to a separate chain in the back to reduce the drip off of chemical into the wrong tank as much as possible. Looking at the first module, which is the ink removal station and the degreasing station, I can point out which are the improvements that we made on this. So the users of our systems and also people who have looked at previous videos will recognize these brushes on chains. These brushes, these chains, they get loose over time and they need to be tightened. And one of the remarks that we got from several of our users is, hey, can you think about something that we don't have to tension that chain? It's not a big deal, but still you have to stop the machine, open the door, go in there into the chemicals and tighten those. Well, unfortunately, chains have to be tightened. There's no way around that, whatever system you have. But we thought about something else, which is very exciting, and that is that we have put the brushes on static bars. Now, these obviously don't need to be tensioned. And they're always tight. And they have another advantage is that they go at a double speed of the brushes on the chains. So actually you have 2 times as many contacts. It's like having 2 sets of brushes actually. Also, we don't want these brushes to rub on your mesh. It's not mechanical cleaning. It's just really, really soft touch, just opening up any lumps of ink that you have to allow the ink cleaner to penetrate in there and to make sure that the chemical gets everywhere into all the corners. So no tension on those brushes, just gently wipe them across the screen, and then it's not a wear and tear part. In case they have to be replaced for whatever reason, it's very easy to take out a bar and put one instead, which is much more complicated with the chains that we had. So another thing that we tested on the unit is, does it help to have double spray bars? And we found out that that doesn't have an effect either. Why? Because with this system we're already applying about 3 gallons or roughly 10 liters of chemical per minute on a screen. Now the screen is in air for about 3.5 minutes. That means we are hitting that screen with 27 liters to 30 liters or about 9 gallons of cleaner on that one screen. Well, if that doesn't take care of the ink on your screen, then it doesn't help to put on 20 gallons or 30 gallons. That won't do the trick either. So one set of spray bars is more than plenty. And finally, maybe you recognize it, maybe not. We used to have a mechanic switch, a black arm switch, to operate the machine. Those were relatively difficult to adjust, especially if you have different screen sizes, and we have replaced that mechanic switch by a digital switch which senses metal, and this is much easier to adjust in case you have different screen sizes. By the way, these improvements are not only on the LOTUS EVO MAXX, they are also applied to our standard LOTUS EVO COMPACT systems. So the first category of improvements is about reducing the cross-contamination, to reduce the drag from the liquids going into the wrong tank. The second category of improvements is about extending the longevity of your chemical, to use it more effectively by taking out more of the pollution and by adding the right amount at the right time. So the first thing that we have in there is, I showed you before, that we have this separation here, where we allow the screen to drip off, and on the bottom we have a sedimentation tank. And this sedimentation tank has a cloth filter inside. Anything that drips off the screen will fall onto this cloth filter, big particles will be collected and tape, etc. And then the chemical will pass through and go into this sedimentation tank on the bottom. The liquid is moving very, very slowly, so all the ink will sediment nicely to the bottom. It will fill up and it will overflow back into the first tank. As a result, more ink is filtered out of the cleaner, and the lifetime of your cleaner is extended. Now obviously, if we look at the EVO Compact, we don't have that space to create that sedimentation tank on this unit. So the second part of improving the effectiveness of your chemical is about how much chemical and water you add to your system and when. And that is what we have here in this direct fluid control system, which is an automatic dosing system, in fact. And this is an absolute game changer. How does this work? Well, very simple. The system will count screens for you, and the only parameter that you have to set is how many screens you will let pass before you add chemicals. So let me give you an example. Every 300 screens you want to add ink cleaner. Well, you just put in 300, the system will count screens, and when it reaches 300 it will add ink cleaner and water, if you want to, in a required ratio, automatically to your tank. It will take it from the can into the dosing system, and through these pipes here on the bottom it will go to the right tank. So here the red one is for the chemical, the ink cleaner, and this one is water. They are combined, and now they go to your first module, and they will go into that first bay. And the same applies for the stripper. For example, every 100 screens you want to add a little bit of stripper and water. You tell that to the system, it will count to 100 and it will add stripper directly from the can and straight into your module. And then it will start counting over again. Well, what is the advantage? Well, first of all, you are adding chemical at the right time in the right ratio. So the ratio is always stable. You take out human error from that equation, and you don't risk that people are throwing in more chemical than is actually needed to clean your screens. So it will save you cost, and it will increase your effectiveness of the chemical enormously. Game changer, people. So the dosing system is included as a standard with every LOTUS EVO MAXX system, and unfortunately we cannot install that on an EVO COMPACT system, not as a retrofit on existing systems nor on new systems. That's one of the big differences. The last category of improvements on this machine was really high on the wish list of all your responsible screen printers, and that is how we can minimize the effect on the environment. Well, first of all, by using a LOTUS reclaiming system, you already done a whole lot, because in our systems we use non-volatile, biologically degradable chemicals, and the only thing that is polluting in the system is ink. And if your system is working well, all the ink is collected in your first chamber for you to remove as a solid. The last part, the thing that comes out, is wastewater, and all you printers, you like to work with wastewater filtration system. That's why we created an integrated wastewater filtration system. So what is the advantage of an integrated system as compared to standalone systems? Well, I've seen instances where the pump of a standalone system wouldn't work, either because the pump failed or a breaker tripped. They fill up very quickly and you create a swimming pool. This integrated system, it cannot happen with an integrated system because either the high pressure pump and the wastewater system are working or they're both not working. So as soon as the high pressure unit starts adding water to the system, the wastewater filtration system starts pumping it away. First through a 75 micron filter, and as a next step to a 20 micron filter. The water that comes out there is very, very clean. It looks like drinking water. I wouldn't drink it if I were you, but it looks like pure drinking water. The Lotus Holland idea is to keep it as simple as possible. Don't put bells and whistles on the equipment that make it unnecessarily expensive or that would complicate the operation. For instance, as you can see, we don't have a touchscreen on our equipment or programs that your operators are not gonna use anyway. We only change out components if it is cost effective for you as the printer. So we're definitely not gonna add components that are not really necessary, especially electronic components like sensors to detect the screen. The only time that we replace parts is when it is useful and beneficial for you as the printer. So examples of those are, for instance, the mechanic switch, the black arm that we had before. It's now replaced by a digital sensor. Another example is the brush bar that replaces the brushes on chains. The brush bar is easier for you to operate and maintain. You don't have to tension it. And a final example is, we didn't discuss it in this video, but is the wastewater is always pumped away with the wastewater pump. So the wastewater pump is standard on all the equipment. Additionally, on the LOTUS EVO MAXX, you have a wastewater filtration system, which is standard, but that is available as an option for the other equipment as well. We advise you to avoid extras that increase the cost of your equipment unnecessarily, or that make it more costly or complicated to maintain your equipment. So the simpler and the lower the cost of the equipment, the better the fit for you, provided of course that the unit cleans your screens. Our LOTUS EVO COMPACT is the smallest, lowest in cost, easiest to operate and maintain, fully automatic cleaning and reclaiming system for screen printers in the world. For the vast majority of small format screen printers, like textile printers, the LOTUS EVO COMPACT is a very, very good solution. With the LOTUS EVO MAXX, we have given the printer that wants more control over its cleaning process an additional choice in equipment. So yes, printers, I would say that our newly developed LOTUS EVO MAXX is a game changer. The dosing system on this unit gives the operator maximum control over its consumption as well as its cleaning quality. The influence of human error with this unit is minimized. It gives you more value for money, but it is also a higher investment sum if you compare it to the LOTUS EVO COMPACT. So when you are facing this decision, for you it's a conscious choice. Am I going to go for the LOTUS EVO MAXX as a best fit for my operation, or is my best choice the LOTUS EVO COMPACT? It is up to you.